All right, guys, now that I'm doing YouTube full-time, or trying to do YouTube full-time, I'm going to react to some things that I missed while my time was handcuffed, while my time was tied up with my day job. So, I know that Atalanta put a 3-0 beatdown on Bayer Leverkusen, who I thought was probably going to have one of the most dominant seasons in the history of football, and they beat them down in the Europa League final. So in today's video, I know nothing about the team, I know nothing about the players, I don't know the manager, I don't know anything about this, but I found a video by Football Meta. I think he put this video out right before the final was played, but either way, how Gasparini dominated Europe's biggest teams. Let me learn how this club, Atalanta, shocked the world and took down some of the most dominant European teams and just put together a perfect final. I want to learn about this. Let's get into this.
Atalanta made it to their first ever European final in spectacular fashion.
Wow, first time finalists
along the way. And a lot of it is down to Gasparini's tactical system. Atalanta are a team that play forward both in and out of possession, with an aggressive man-to-man marking system that means that the team has no fallback structure to rely on. And when Atalanta regain the ball, there are few teams that can match their relentless energy and willingness to get the ball into the ball.
So far, first thoughts. Heavy attack. We're pushing players forward. I think Ange would like this. I think Big Ange would like this kind of system. Push everyone forward. Let's go. And he doesn't like... they're going to have to explain a little bit more about the no fullback structure thing, but let's get into that.
From any position available. And while this may sound similar to other great teams, the reality is that there are some tactical elements that are unique to Gasparini, who has slowly gained a reputation for being one of the brightest managers in modern football, with a tactical system that can catch even the biggest teams in Europe off guard. Let's take a look. Gasparini is the longest serving manager in the Serie A. He's taken Atalanta from relegation battles to European football. But the reality of a club like Atalanta means that the majority of their talented players are swiftly sold to bigger clubs, and the team can look completely different every season. But one reason why Gasparini is able to get the most out of his new signings is because...
So are Atalanta treated like a feeder club, kind of like Dortmund? How they kind of groom talent and then their talent gets poached by other big European clubs? That kind of sucks to be I don't know. Somebody let me know in the comments. Does it suck to be a fan of a feeder club like a Dortmund or like Atalanta, where you've got a lot of turnover with your roster, but you still, you get to see a lot of really great talent come in and then leave. So maybe is it exciting to see that much turnover and see all the great talent come through, but then just get sold? I would think it sucks because you can never really grow a contender because you're constantly a revolving door allowing your talent to come in and go out.
His principles are clear. So if you want to play for Atalanta, the first thing to get to grips with is their unique defensive approach. When defending, there are, generally speaking, two schools of thought, either zonal marking or man marking. Zonal marking managers believe that the ball is the most dangerous threat to your team, while man marking managers believe that the player is the most dangerous threat. The vast majority of teams will use a mixture of both depending on the situation. Some teams press man for man during build-up, but transition into a zonal system from more active build positions. For example, Pep Guardiola usually presses man for man from opposition goal kicks, but will transition into a zonal marking system from more active positions, covering passing lanes and trying to force the opposition to move the ball into designated areas. But while it's common to see teams use a hybrid system, it is uncommon to see man marking in the way Atalanta do it. Gasparini's men will follow their direct opponent relentlessly throughout the 90 minutes. And even as the opposition pushes up, they're not afraid to step off their line to close a player down, often resulting in completely different patterns and structures depending on the opposition, with no clear midfield or defensive lines. In Gasparini's words, Atalanta don't wait for the opposition to make a mistake, but actively chase the ball down and want to win it back in a proactive way.
I like that. So that's exactly how I would play if I was playing in FIFA. Just, I see the ball. I'm going after the ball. I'm going to go get the ball. I don't care if I come off my line. I don't care if I break down or I leave up an opening. I am pressing and I am getting that ball back. I think that's what I understood from that.
There are obviously some rules the players follow. For example, the wing-backs will usually wait to close their player down, first shutting down the risk of a direct ball in behind, before very quickly closing the player down if the opposition moves down their flank. We can get a good idea of this by looking at how Atalanta pressed against Liverpool, with the options in the centre being given little space, while there was slightly more space on the flank to receive the ball. Once Liverpool had made the decision to go down the left flank, Zappacosta would instantly close down the fullback and put pressure on the ball. The beauty of this is that it doesn't matter where they are on the pitch. Atalanta are always looking to push up to win the ball. They don't play the offside trap, and there's no clear defensive line.
Right.
But if a player receives the ball with their back to goal, there is absolutely no way he'll be allowed to turn around. This aggressive defensive principle becomes even more interesting when entering the box and defending crosses.
I wonder, I bet, not now, I'm going to make a correlation to a completely different sport, but I like to play NBA 2K on Xbox, and the way that I play is the same way that he's describing. As soon as the ball touches some, I'm going immediately, and I'm trying to steal the ball. Now, what that leads to is it leads to a lot of fouls, right? So this is my point. It leads to a lot of fouls because I'm constantly reaching for the ball. I'm constantly swiping for the ball. I'm trying to get steals, trying to turn the ball over. And if you are playing this intense of a marking defense, I wonder if it's going to lead to a very physical brand of football, I would imagine. And I would imagine it would also lead to a lot of yellow cards, fouls, things of that nature, because you're contesting and you're challenging for the ball viciously and aggressively. So I would imagine that this is kind of a physical, like if you play against them, you're in for a physical battle. That's kind of what I think just from hearing what he just described.
Speaking, teams will look to get as many players as possible between the ball and the goal, and even man-marking teams will shift to a certain level of zonal marking in the box, usually resembling either a diagonal line or a triangle across the 6-yard box, and covering the most dangerous areas of the goal. But Gasparini still insists that the most dangerous element is the player, not the ball, and rarely do Atalanta have a fullback shape to rely on. For example, in their win against Monza, we can see how there are no players left unmarked in the box. While naturally Atalanta will end up with extra players in defense, these will usually pick up a position that they believe will give the team the best chance of stopping a goal. But there is rarely a specific structure these players adopt. This defensive principle may sound simple on paper, but it reflects the huge amount of trust that Gasparini places into every player to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But naturally, this approach does have some weaknesses that the opposition will exploit. Given that there is no specific structure for Atalanta to fall back on, the opposition can and will drag the players around to exploit certain spaces. While each player will need to be disciplined in 1v1 situations, all it takes is one player to lose track of their man, and suddenly Atalanta can find themselves scrambling to pick up the extra player.
That's nasty.
And the space in behind.
Ew, that's nasty on the board. Like, okay, I see the downside of it. However, we know that this worked. We know that this worked because Atalanta played a perfect game against Bayer Leverkusen and just absolute domination, even to the last seconds of the game, where Leverkusen have opportunities to score and they're just doing every player, every position, making the right play, doing the right thing. It worked. So yeah, it can be exploited, and it looks really nasty when you have these pieces moving around on a board, because you can get numbers disadvantage, but we know that it worked because they won the Europa League final and dominated a team that had not been beaten this year.
Behind the defense is usually the target to aim for. Against Liverpool, before Atalanta really got going in the match, they found themselves exposed at the back on multiple occasions, usually with direct balls in behind for the strikers to chase. Coordinated moves forward and backwards can leave the defenders isolated at the back. For example, a move that Atalanta will often face can be seen with Harvey Elliott in this clip, dropping off the defensive line before quickly turning and attacking the space left.
Yeah, that is the danger. You have this intense one-on-one. If you get a quality play from a player like that, you're cooked. It makes sense. That's totally the danger in American football too. So coming from my perspective, from the sport I grew up playing and coaching my whole life, that's the danger of playing man. You play in man and you've got a really quality receiver, that guy's going to get cooked. The defender's going to get cooked, because playing man on man against really quality threats is dangerous. You get beat, and you look silly when you get beat like that. You look so silly when you're out there just running, and there's no catching him.
An exact scenario that can be seen in a lot of their matches, and a key area the opposition know they can take advantage of.
Yeah.
A simple mistake can lead to Atalanta being exposed at the back, but it's a defensive system that is also an excellent starting point for any attack, and Atalanta are one of the most dangerous teams from counterattacks in the Serie A. But even from more structured attacks, Gasparini is proving to have some of the brightest offensive tactics in the modern game. Throughout his career, Gasparini has rarely shifted away from back three systems, with the biggest difference being either a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-4-1-2, with the latter being the most common formation from this season. By keeping the formation consistent, it means Gasparini has been able to add slight changes throughout the years, and has gradually adapted his playstyle season after season. While build-up has remained core to their style of play, they have gradually become a more direct team, looking to get the ball forward into the attackers as quickly as possible. This season, their offensive set of players means they can often rely on their combinations to create chances, and will often adopt different shapes depending on who is playing, also resulting in a lot of different types of attack. With Lookman, they will usually end up with more players between the lines, allowing them to progress the ball centrally and exploit the space out wide with the wingbacks, before attacking forward himself. While when playing with Scamacca, his hold-up play is much more effective, and Atalanta will often look to play more centrally and directly into the forward, who can knock it down between the lines for Cup Miners, who can then play the other forward in behind. The different types of players at Atalanta's disposal means that their attacks can be completely different every match, and there's lots of different combinations that can emerge. In their semi-final clash with Marseille, the choice of switching to a 3-4-2-1 with Lookman and De Ketelaere between the lines proved to be extremely beneficial, and Atalanta were comfortably able to dominate the space between the lines. In this clip, we see how Atalanta could rely on Scamacca as the target man, who could knock it down between the lines, in this case for Zappacosta moving inside. From this position, the speed of Lookman and De Ketelaere meant they could instantly get numbers forward. For their opening goal, Scamacca's position meant he could push the defence back, giving time and space to De Ketelaere to receive the ball and play it forward into Lookman. From more structured attacks, their formation means they create these triangles either side of the pitch that allows them to find easy passing combinations and move the ball forward either out wide or in the half spaces. Yeah. Combine this with the rotation of Cup Miners along with one of the two strikers, and it means Atalanta can quickly create big overloads on either side of the pitch. Cup Miners has been their standout player so far this season, showing up all over the pitch, and his ability not only to provide dangerous passes into the box, but to also coordinate his runs and attack the box himself makes him one of the most dangerous players in the league, and the focal point for the vast majority of Atalanta's attacks. The positioning of the wingback and the striker means Cup Miners' position is difficult to effectively cover, and so he can often receive the ball in space either directly or indirectly. Once the ball is in this position, Atalanta's willingness to get forward is evident in all their players, and it's very common to see the wide centre-backs laying the ball off before attacking forward to give an extra option in attack. The right centre-back Scalvini highlights this with his heat map, consistently pushing forward on the right and underlapping into more advanced positions, whilst also providing 3.03 progressive passes per match, the third most in the league. But not only the wide centre-backs, but the two holding midfielders are also not shy of pushing forward. Ederson consistently provides dangerous central balls into the striker, while in recent matches Pasalic, previously an attacking midfielder, has been excelling from a deeper position and disrupting opposition's defences when they least expect it. In the final third, thanks to these runs from different positions and players, Atalanta are not reliant on any one way of creating chances, and their goals can come from a number of different scenarios, such as crosses from the wingbacks, through balls for the strikers to chase, or cutbacks from timed runs into the half spaces, meaning it's impossible to predict how Atalanta are going to score their next goal. This brand of aggressive and vertical football does certainly have its tactical advantages and disadvantages, but the most important factors are the psychological benefits that Gasparini gives to his players. By playing in a way that empowers every individual, there's a reason why Gasparini is able to breathe new life into struggling players. Whether it's De Ketelaere off the back of a disappointing stint in Milan, or Lookman struggling to make a lasting impact with Leicester or Fulham, Gasparini is able to give confidence to players when they need it most. And there's a reason why Atalanta are consistently developing some of the best players in the modern game. But I'm curious to know if you think Gasparini should manage a bigger club in the near future. Would his tactics...
That's the whole problem of the feeder club, right? It's just like, oh yeah, everyone We're doing a great job here. Let's move on to a bigger club. Very fascinating stuff. I like some of the things I heard tactically in this video. I love the idea of being aggressive and pushing the ball forward. I love that sort of attacking mentality that I guess that's why I'm favorable on Big Ange over here at Tottenham. I love the attacking qualities there. I'm very interested in the decision to trust your players to defend and not make mistakes. That shows supreme confidence in the quality of your players to allow them to play such a man-marking system to just go attack the man and stay with your man. That's a fantastic, what a great idea. But also very scary idea to trust those players. If you've got the right players and you can trust them, it looks like it works. I mean, at least it worked enough to beat and take down Bayer Leverkusen. What a crazy thing that Bayer Leverkusen's streak came to an end against Atalanta. But congrats to you guys. And if you're an Atalanta fan, let me know down in the comments section what this means to you. First-time finalist in the Europa League, and you win the finals against a team who had not lost all year long. What does that mean to you as a fan? Is this one of the greatest moments of your life as a fan? I'm sure. Take your victory lap in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video.